Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it certainly sounds like Rivian is going through more production hell, and RJ updated us on some of the delays that the R1T should expect. And unfortunately, it's pretty much the two most interesting trims in the R1T lineup, which hadn't started deliveries yet technically. As far as we're aware, it's mostly employees that have accepted delivery, and it's all, of course, of the launch edition vehicles, which I don't believe they've finished deliveries of yet, and after that, it will merge into the adventure package deliveries, which are very similar to the launch editions. Pretty much the only difference is there's a limited number of launch edition vehicles and they have some kind of custom colors and interiors, but as far as specs and features go, the adventure package is pretty dang similar. But what I thought was more interesting, like especially if I was speccing out my own Rivian, was the Explore package, because that's nearly $5,000 cheaper, right? Like whenever we saw the Rivian starts at $67,500, that's what we were looking at, the Explore package, which uses slightly cheaper materials in the interior, isn't as good at off-roading, but still should be quite an impressive vehicle nonetheless. That's been delayed until 2023, which means, yeah, the cheapest option, which I'm sure there's lots of R1T reservations for that tier, are not going to be produced until not next year, but the year after that. So I assume that's not going to be, January 1st of 2023. We may have several years to go before Rivian is able to sell any vehicle that starts sub $70,000. So that was by far the most interesting option in my opinion. I was kind of getting excited for the rumored cheaper option that was going to have range under 300 miles, but maybe start closer to $60,000 or less would be even better. It was supposed to be rocking a 105 kilowatt hour battery pack, and I wanted to see Rivian start making more affordable trucks because I felt like that's what they really needed. They nailed the product, but affordability was the biggest weakness. And now knowing that the Explore package has been delayed this far out makes me think that even cheaper option must be booked out even further, and we're not even close to that. But they've also now delayed the max battery pack option, which I was also really interested in seeing because, of course, I knew a ton of people that were in the market for any kind of 400-mile range EV pickup because they know whenever they end up towing with that truck, its range is going to get cut in half. Now people testing out the Rivian R1T have already started picking up on that. When you're towing at a high capacity, they lose around 60% of their range, which is, pretty typical of most EVs. But now knowing that the 400-mile Rivian won't even come out until 2023 just gets me a little bit more bummed because, as RJ said in this update email, 20% of their reservations of the 70,000 they've collected so far, 20%, which is a pretty big chunk, were all opting for the Max Pack. And now knowing there won't be any Max Pack deliveries in 2022 just makes me think, man, okay, do they really know how to actually get this vehicle over 400 miles of charge, or are they just assuming with improved energy density and improved efficiency in the future they'll find a way to do that? Because as of right now, they're using a 135 kilowatt hour pack, which is already pretty massive, to go a little over 300 miles per charge, but they have all these compartments and storage areas that they're trying to reserve for the R1T. I'm wondering if they're going to be able to make that jump to the rumored spec of around 180 kilowatt hour battery pack without sacrificing on any of the storage space. Where are you going to store an additional 50 kilowatt hours worth of battery? For the record, a rear-wheel drive Model 3 has a 60 kilowatt hour pack. Rivian's already using a 130 kilowatt hour pack, and they're going to add 50 on top of that. I know some Rivian employees, and maybe through some forums they've stated otherwise, but I'm really struggling to figure out how they're going to keep that big spare tire option and that gear tunnel storage area and that massive frunk, plus add 50 kilowatt hours to that entire pack. It's going to be a trick overall, and I think that Rivian prioritizing energy efficiency a little bit more could certainly help. We found out through their most recent EPA filing that they still don't have heat pumps in any of their vehicles. That's to me a very big red flag, as it helps improve range drastically in the wintertime, and maybe through some improved energy density and maybe even switching to some structural pack of some kind, reducing on weight by switching to more single piece castings or using an octo valve with your heat pump. All of that kind of stuff might allow you to get 400 miles of range without having to stuff, an additional 50 kilowatt hours worth of energy in there. But there's certainly, I think, a lot of people that are going to be turned away now just because that 400 mile range was one of the things I think separating the Rivian from the rest of the competition. The F-150 Lightning did not have any 400 mile range option, and of course the Cybertruck is still beating everyone in terms of promised range by saying they're going to get up to 500 miles, but that of course is still up in the air on when to expect first deliveries. We don't know if the 500 mile range is going to be prioritized with the quad motor. I assume assume it will, but we don't really know for sure. It's kind of disappointing when you see Elon make comments like, Plaid Plus is canceled because no one really needs 500 miles of range. It's like, Elon, don't apply that same logic to pickup trucks, because 500 miles of range in an electric truck is 250 miles of range when towing, which people tow a lot more with trucks. So I think that max pack was certainly like the holy grail for a lot of people out there that are like, I want an electric truck and I want to get it next year, and the Cybertruck, there's no guarantee of it coming next year, but they wanted range that could beat 400 miles for the towing stuff. So RJ dropping this bombshell on us means that there's a decent chance we won't have any electric trucks breaking the 400 mile mark in 2022, which is a bit of a bummer. I'm hoping the Cybertruck can actually be the first one to do it, but I've just had so little faith in Elon's timelines with the Cybertruck lately, because it feels like things just keep getting pushed back. Feels like a year ago we were hearing, yeah, the design is done, it's just a matter of mass producing it now, and then we get this sneak peek of the windshield wiper, and Elon's like, actually, that's not done, or there's still some tinkering left to do. So I apologize for Rivian reservation holders, especially people that were hoping to buy the Explore package. Now it sounds like throughout all of 2022, they're only going to be prioritizing the Adventure package with the large pack, and I think that says a lot about the production capacity at Rivian, because they've had 70,000 reservations, and RJ basically just came forward and said probably somewhere between 20 and 30% of these will not be prioritized until 2023. So I honestly have a hard time seeing how Rivian is going to produce more than 50,000 vehicles in 2022. So keep that in mind whenever you see Rivian doing something cool or delivering some vehicles and you say, oh, this is the Cybertruck killer, Rivian's the future, they've paved their way for success. It's like, if the production ramp is going to take this long, and I think that based on their spending, they are probably biting off way more than they can chew right now. I know Tesla spent a lot in their early days, but they were typically only ramping one vehicle at a time. Rivian is trying to ramp the R1T, the R1S, and the delivery van all simultaneously, and none of them are very power efficient, which means each one is going to require a crap ton of batteries, which is the limiting factor of most EV production. So because of that, I don't expect Rivian's prices to come down anytime soon, and if they are going to start off in the first quarter of 2023 with prioritizing a new spec, it will more than likely be the max pack, because those vehicles will cost more, therefore have heavier profit margins. So don't expect a cheaper Rivian really to get unveiled or announced anytime soon at this point. Certainly raises my concerns for the company as a whole. I hope they can make it. I hope they can figure out production capacity, but please, Rivian, work on that adventure network, work on that heat pump, and work on finding a way to actually hit 400 miles without sacrificing on vehicle cargo space, because I think that's important to your customers. Feel free to let me know how you guys feel about the R1T delays down below. Thank you to everyone on Patreon helping me afford a far more efficient electric vehicle. And everyone else, thank you just for watching. It seriously does make a difference. Take care. Have a great day.